Hello, welcome seventh graders. This is our technology class, week 7. So I hope everybody's having a good week. And this week, I just want to quickly, I'm inside of the typing account right now because I want to just quickly go over all of your assignments. And after today, there won't be any new typing assignments for the rest of the first quarter. So there are a total of 5 typing assignments that you will need to complete before the end of the quarter, which is in 2 weeks. So that is November 11th. So just to go back and let you know how this works, everybody received their typing account. So you should have gotten that like, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. And everybody should have their typing account. And then that has your username and your password, right, to get it. If you didn't get that or you were having a problem, you should let me know right away, right? That's called being assertive. When you hear something or you see something and you know you're supposed to do it, there's really not an excuse, right? You're in 7th grade, you need to be stepping it up and being proactive about just your work, right? And even with receiving the emails from me, there really is no excuse. You know, there's the Gradling program now, which basically every assignment is in there. So if you're logging in there and you're looking at social studies or English or whatever, you can look in technology and see the assignments, right? You have to be independent. You're getting older now, right? You're going to be going in high school, and we can't really be, oh, mom, but mom didn't tell me. Well, mom doesn't need to tell you anymore, right? You need to be looking and knowing how to do it on your own. Okay, so for the typing, like I said, there's 5 assignments. So our first one was a typing assessment. So it looks like 67% of you completed it. The one after that was Skill Builder. Now, Skill Builder had 12 kind of like mini lessons within it, super short. They're each like 4 lines of typing, and you're practicing your typing, right? Then after that, we did the beginner review. 33% of you did that. And then last week was our accuracy focus, which 20% of you completed that. And then this week is our 3-minute typing test. So guess how many minutes of typing you have to do this week? 3 minutes. Oh my goodness. Do you think you could put down your device and type for 3 minutes? So, the reason why I think typing is so important is because when you get into high school and college, you're going to have a lot of papers that you need to type up. I mean, I think back to when I was in high school and college, and I know I had to write a lot of papers and I needed to type them up. And if I was sitting there pecking with one finger, it would have been so stressful because it would have taken me hours, right? Hours to type something. And I really don't want that to be you guys. I want you to be able to quickly type something and be able to know how to format it and all those things and share it through Google Docs. And by the way, most people in their workplace, they use Google. They use Google Docs, they use Google Sheets. It's just a common place. That's why we've been learning all of these applications, because it's just something, especially when you're working on a project with other people, the ability to share that document where multiple people can be working on it at the same time is just so essential. It's a skill that you need to know for your future. Okay. So that's why every week I ask you, share your assignment through through Google Docs or whatever it is, Google Sheets, whatever we're using, Google Slides. Share it, because I know that this is a skill that you will need to know how to do this for your future. Okay. And yeah, typing is just so important. And most of these typing lessons, they don't take longer than 20 or 30 minutes for the whole week. That's it, once a week. So you could divide it up if you want to do like 10, 10, 10, 15 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever. If you're faster at typing, maybe it only takes you 10 minutes for the whole thing, right? But there's no excuse. You need to be doing these typing assignments, and it's just an easy way to get 100 on for that assignment for the week. Because when I click on it and I'm able to look in and see who did it and who didn't do it, I can easily just go down the line and give you 100 for doing the assignment. Okay. And so you need to make sure that you're putting in the time and the effort. And this is for your benefit, really, because it's your future. So again, it's your loss if you don't do this the right way, and or you don't do it at all. It's really on you because you're the one that's losing the practice, right? All right. So this week we are going to continue with our second step lessons. And again, these lessons are so important because technology is so much a part of our lives, and more so you guys, right? You're in a generation growing up where technology is a part of everything that you do. I mean, a lot of your social interactions are on social media, or a lot of these chatting apps, right? TikTok, Instagram, all these different things. It's how you're communicating with each other. It's how you're getting your information, right? You're going online to these apps and checking out things. And I just think that we cannot neglect our emotional intelligence because, especially for you guys, I truly believe in my heart that you're all called to become world changers. And that means that God is going to place you in different industries and fields, and He's going to ask you to step up and be a leader in that field. And it's going to be really hard for you if you don't have an emotional intelligence, if you don't have social skills, right? It's great that you're learning all the tech and you need those skills, but I think that they need to be coupled with an emotional intelligence skill base, meaning that you know how to communicate with people, you know how to recognize, how other people are feeling about things, you know how to understand their perspectives, you know how to negotiate and compromise with people, which is what we're actually our topic that we're talking about today. So look, this is a cute little cartoon. Ed and Sally choose a lose-lose solution, right? Because they're going in opposite directions. So there's no way they could ever move together because they're rowing in opposite directions, right? So they're just going to end up going nowhere. And that's how it can feel, if you're working with somebody and, maybe you're just super opinionated. You just always believe my perspective is the right way. And that's it. Everybody needs to just agree with me right away. And that's not how life works, right? If you go on any of these social media sites, oh my gosh, and you look through some of the threads on there, it's constantly people sharing their perspectives, right? But usually not in a nice way. And they always have something to say about everybody in every situation. They have their opinion. And then they argue with each other back and forth about, different topics or whatever it is. And so really learning, if you remember back to last year, one of our lessons that we did was considering other people's, perspectives, right? And we said that was so important because, not everybody has the same life experience as us. And not everybody comes to the same conclusion that we come to. And if we're ever going to be successful at working with other people, we need to be able to understand, where they're coming from and like what their perspective is on things. And so our lesson this week is talking about how can we negotiate and compromise. And I think this is really important because what does it mean to negotiate? And so this is one of the questions on your homework, but it really means that you're going back and forth with ideas with somebody or a group of people, right? You might do this through a chat or something. I don't know. You're going back and forth. You're sharing, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. And you're kind of sharing each other's point of view, perspective, ideas, whatever. And then when you finally come to a compromise, it's when you come to an agreement in where hopefully it's a win-win for both people. Or, maybe you had to give a little bit and they had to give a little bit, but you agreed to something that you were both satisfied with as far as the outcome, right? And this is such a great skill when you're working with teams, groups, just any of these situations, just with people in general, even in a friendship, right? If you're the one that's always like, we're going to like play this game today on whatever, app or whatever. And then, but we play that one every time. You always get to choose, right? Well, give somebody else a chance. Don't be the hog that's always what you want to do, right? That's what a good friend does. And I think that people nowadays, because of our tech society, they just want everything right away and they want it their way. And they don't ever want to stop and think about other people, right? So we're going to be talking about the problem solving steps, the action steps. And there are 7 of them. And the first one is A, for analyze the situation. So whenever you're going through a problem or an issue or whatever it is, you always want to ask yourself, what is the problem? How do I feel? Try to figure out what it is that you want or need in the situation, but then try to figure out the other people, their perspective, right? Do you need more information? So we're going to be taking a look at these 2 girls in a minute. It's like one of those videos, and it's super dramatic. So it's kind of like girl drama, but I think it does illustrate how in 7th grade, I mean, this is a problem that they're facing in 7th grade in the video, how, when you're coming across a problem, it can go totally south if you're not open and willing to negotiate and compromise and hear other people's ideas. And you remember the last time we met, we talked about respectfully disagreeing with someone. And if some of you guys caught my mistake in that homework, I typed the first question and I typed, how can you disrespectfully? Some of you guys wrote the funniest things in, but there was one kid, Daniel Dixon, thank you. He has a really great attention to detail. He actually caught my thing, and then he changed it and he wrote it the right way. So yeah, funny when I did a little typo, but when you're respectfully disagreeing with somebody, you keep calm, you use active listening, you consider the other person's perspective, right? You make sure you're explaining your perspective clearly and you're not judging anybody, right? And I think to myself, when Jesus walked on the earth and he was walking around teaching the disciples and showing them how to pray for people and things, when somebody came up to him or when he went up to somebody, right, he didn't just be like, okay, well, this is how it is, you sinner, right? He wanted to hear their perspective on things. What was it like to live, in their shoes, right? And then he would be able to pray for them. And I don't think anybody, for you guys, would want, if somebody came up to you and they're like, you're a disgrace. Like, how do you even believe that? Let me pray for you. You're just like, what? Oh my gosh, like they're just insulting everything that I am, right? Like, that's not really love, right? That's like you're judging somebody, you're making them feel terrible, and then you're expecting them to be open to you praying for them, right? So I think these skills, again, they carry over into like our spiritual lives too, right? Our lives as being disciples and followers of Christ, our lives in our future workplace, right? Where we want to do what God is calling us to do with other people. Well, guess what? You need people skills if you're going to be working with other people, right? And so, yeah. So anyways, let me move on. Let me put on the first part of the video and then we'll come back and talk about it. Remember, it's like super dramatic. It's 7th grade girl drama. Okay, here we go.
Hannah and I were talking about who we wanted to invite over to my house Friday night. And she suggested Beth. That was kind of awkward.
Lexi, Beth, and I were best friends in elementary school. We did everything together until middle school.
I'm making new friends now. Beth doesn't really fit in. She's not in any of my classes. I don't see her that often.
Beth's in my English class, and we're partners in science lab. I really like her. I know she feels kind of left out by some of her other friends, especially Lexi.
Someone said Beth was saying things about me. Like I care more about being popular than I care about my friends. I care about my friends. I'm just not sure she's one of them.
Beth would be really hurt if she found out we didn't invite her.
Beth won't know anyone else there. She's just gonna talk to Hannah and take up all her time. I want Hannah to get to know some of my other friends better.
I really think we should invite Beth.
I don't want to.
Okay, so they're having a little bit of drama here about who to invite, right? And they have this other girl that they know, and one of them wants to invite her and the other one doesn't, right? And you can see that what are they doing? She's kind of like having all of these thoughts and making assumptions about different things. And when you make an assumption about somebody or what you think is going to happen, you don't really have the full truth or the full perspective of the other person. You just have what you think. And we do this all the times, right? Like I always use the example of like, even with technology, right? How maybe you send a text to somebody and they don't answer back in the next second. And then you start thinking, oh my gosh, maybe they don't like me anymore. Maybe they're not my friend, right? How many of you guys do this? Because you're so used to instant, right? And that's making an assumption. And we don't ever want to do that because, as you can see, it can cause a lot of drama, right? Especially between these girls. So going back to the action steps, right? So we should analyze the situation. So try to really figure out what's going on. Then we have to consider options and decide on the best option. So this is kind of where you go back and forth, you negotiate, you come up with different ideas and try to figure out what would work for this particular problem or issue or whatever it is that you're going through. So I do want to put on the second part just so you could see how the girls work through this in the conversation.
I really think we should invite Beth.
I don't want to.
She's still my friend, and it'll hurt her feelings if we don't invite her. I mean, what do I say to her in English class?
She's not gonna fit in. She doesn't know Lauren or Matt or Natalie. It'll be really awkward.
She knows me and you.
That's part of the problem. She's gonna hog all your time. You won't be able to talk to anyone else.
Okay. So the problem is, we have really different feelings about inviting Beth.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Maybe you could talk to her. Find out if she even wants to come. Maybe she doesn't.
And what happens if she does? I'd feel really bad if we didn't invite her then. Besides, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Okay, so maybe we don't invite her Friday night. But we could get together with her later. You know, just the three of us.
We could do that. Maybe go to the mall or the movies. Or what if we had a game Friday night to get to know each other? Beth can meet everyone that way. Sounds kind of grade school, doesn't it?
Yeah, or something my mother would do. I guess I'd be willing to invite her if she had another person to talk to. What if we invited someone else she knows? You like Brenda, right?
She's okay. She's in our science lab. I probably wouldn't normally invite her. Beth does really like her. So it would mean she'd have someone else to talk to.
Yeah, I know Brenda and Natalie play basketball together.
Okay, so we're going through and we're seeing how now they're going back and forth and they're trying to come up with an idea that they agree on, right? Where they can compromise. So they're saying, oh, maybe if we invite another girl that she also knows, and then that she won't be alone, and then there's somebody else. And so they're really trying to work it through, right? And so this is kind of like I was saying before, this is a skill that really for you guys, something you could use right now, right? If something's going on with a friend situation or something. Number one, neutral problem statement is very important. Why? Because you don't want to ever blame somebody. So for example, if you started saying, well, the problem is that, you know, this person, they don't want to do this, right? And then you're blaming it on them. Instead, it's always better when you're talking about a problem that you don't blame really anybody. You just kind of say, what is the problem here? Well, like the problem with these girls is they're having this get together and they don't exactly know who to invite. And they're trying to figure out the best way, you know, to invite the ones that they want, the kids, girls that they want to invite and make it work for both of them. Something like that, where it doesn't sound like we're blaming anybody, right? And so this is a skill. It does take practice, believe me. It's our human nature. It's natural, right? To just want to blurt out a problem and we blame it on someone. When instead, it would be much more beneficial if we could just say what the problem is without blaming anybody and then try to work it that way, right? And obviously there are times where this is impossible, you know, when something really, somebody did do something to you directly and it's not like there really is a problem and it's like you're like, yeah, they really did say this or do this to me pretty clearly, right? So you do have to kind of know the difference. And then we use the action steps, right, to come up with a conclusion of what can we compromise for, right? So we brainstorm our options, we consider our consequences, we negotiate, and then we reach a compromise. So going back, I just wanted to, hang on, I want to pull up this poster for you guys. Hang on. Okay, so here's the action steps poster. So our first step is analyze the situation, okay? So we take a look, what's really going on, right? Try to understand it from everybody's perspective, get all of the facts. Then we can brainstorm options of what we might do to, as a solution, right? Consider each of the options. And so some questions you might ask, what might happen if we do this? Will it work, not work, blah, blah, blah. Is it safe? How might people feel about it? Is it ethical, right? Whatever it is that you're deciding. Then you could decide and do whatever the best option is. Then you can evaluate if it works. And then if necessary, figure out another way, right? And this would be a mature way to go about solving a problem, right? Whether it be relational or with an organization or whatever it is, this would be a great way for you to go about solving a problem. And I think that, like I was saying, this is so important nowadays with technology being that it really does make all of us just a little bit short-tempered, right? Something happens and we don't even want to think it through or try to understand somebody. We just want to jump to conclusions, make assumptions, right? Get angry or whatever, right? And this is just so inappropriate. It's not the best way to respond. We need to learn how to stay calm and think it through, and don't say anything until you really have thought through what you want to say so you don't end up regretting things, right? Which is something that I think it can happen because words are powerful. And when we say something very hurtful to somebody or we accuse or make an assumption, it's hard to take that back, right? And so I do want you guys to think about this and start practicing using these things in your everyday lives. So let me show you what the assignment's going to be. So this is your assignment. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it bigger. So the first question asks negotiating means. We talked about that. Compromising means, right? So when you're negotiating, you're going back and forth with the ideas. You're sharing, you're listening to the other people's perspectives. And when you finally compromise, you come to an agreement on something that works for all of the parties that are involved, right? So now after watching the video, you're going to describe the problem from Lexi's perspective and Hannah's perspective. So this will kind of help you. And then write a neutral problem statement for their dilemma that they're going through. And how could they negotiate and compromise? So you can come up with your own idea for them. And then the last part is to write out the action steps that we just went over, okay? So please type this in Google Docs and share it. I really would like every assignment at this point moving forward to be done electronically. So I don't want anybody writing it and taking a picture anymore. Type it in Google Docs and share it so that way you are practicing your typing, right? And using these applications. That's part of the technology class. So part of your assignment is that you type this up, okay? And that you remember how to share it with me. If you have any questions, let me know. I believe this is pretty straightforward. And I really hope that these lessons, they can speak to you and they can help you to develop your emotional intelligence. So that way, this can be something that you can use in your future for the success of your life, right? And all of the different plans that God has for you. All right, guys? So I hope that you have a good rest of your week, and I hope to be receiving a lot more of your work this week as we near the end of the quarter. Alrighty? Okay, I'll see you guys. Bye.